can say that there's these certain days, and I may have even relayed this the first time we met, where the only way to describe the day is that it's all happening what feels like inside of my chest, you know, but that's of course that's trying to describe something that I can't really describe. And everybody, you know, it's like you fall in love every second with everyone, you know, and you're fighting back like tears by just talking to the person at Staples. Maybe not fighting back, but you know, you're trying not to get really emotional because you feel your heart is exploding. And so there'll be those kind of days, which is kind of, I really like, those are wonderful. And in that, it's like, I'm aware that I'm not the body, the mind experiences, my emotions are messengers. My mind is absolutely a chemical computer that's been programmed from like the first time I hit my mom's womb. And it's just like a, you know, kind of a video game generator kind of thing. And it's just like this beautiful taste. And then normally, because of a fair amount of trauma throughout the life, you know, I've had trauma like in the womb, and you know, after the womb, I had a car accident. It's almost like there's little dents in the body, and you have to get the hammer out and dent them, undent them. And so that's where I've been a lot lately. I can feel my crown just open up a lot with that one. And so it is, you know, I love, you know, meeting.
It's a bit like the ice, you know, melting into the water and then evaporating into the air and then realizing I'm the space.
Ah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, no, it just seems so familiar. But then there's that bungee cord. That's what I call them, like the little bungee cords that are just like yank, you know, back to whatever vasasanas or samskaras or whatever.
Yes, indeed, yes.
But I've learned to really absolutely adore and bless and be so grateful for anything, whether it's, you know, almost more the disturbing stuff more than the stuff that's...
And when you work through those vasanas and samskaras or conditioning, so to speak, when you work through them, you know that you will be more free, and they're being resolved. So this bungee, you know, pull becomes less and less.
Yes.
And then when the situation repeats, then you say, oh, I'm not pulled anymore. I'm free from it already.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. No, extraordinary. Yes. Yeah, my biggest thing, you know, to tell you the truth is, and I hope this is not, I not candidly, but like, is human sexuality is just not quite grasping that because of some of the events that were kind of relayed from my childhood, were, you know, my first stuff was not necessarily what would be ideal. At a very young...
you know, I'll tell you something about this, that sexuality and other related, you know, things, in many ways, there are certain chemical reactions. And what's wrong with any of those chemical reactions? You know, it's a chemical reaction. You know, even addictions, for example, some people have, you know, smoking or you know, a bit of alcohol. Well, maybe too much alcohol is not good, but and sexuality and other things, you know, and then they come to me and ask me, you know, is that the major problem for my consciousness and my journey? And I say, no, it's as long as you're not harming anybody else, you know, it's just the chemical stuff in your body. And there's nothing wrong about that. You know, if you want to work on it, there are things you can do about it. but it's not an issue for opening up consciousness. Yeah, and one of the known gurus, you know, Nisargadatta Maharaj, he was used to smoking, you know, and somebody came up to him and they said, you know, it seems that, you know, dear Nisargadatta, that you have an issue with smoking. And he replied, it seems that you have addiction to non-smoking. So he was a liberated being, you know. He you know, for him that was definitely not an issue, you know, for his realization. So same way, chemical reactions are chemical reactions, and maybe other related things about, you know, maybe to sexuality, it can be guilt or shame or suppression or so on. Well, these would be more psychologically related things, emotionally related things, trauma related things to be healed, yes. But I usually say that there are only certain things that are obstacles towards full consciousness. And that's what we work upon when they come up. But many other things are secondary.
Yeah.
Secondary and third priority. So we don't have to resolve all the things. We just need to get to full consciousness, and there you will have absolutely full support to continue any other secondary healing. Yeah, and to continue the process of integration, the process of, you know, working through the cycles of life and experiences, and to continue what I call rising in the vortex of the universe, in your evolutionary soul path, so to speak, or the path of ascension. But it's much more enjoyable when you're free.
Yes, yes. Then I'm feeling, I have been feeling very free lately. And it's interesting because it seems that, you know, and that's why I kind of was joking about the masochistic almost in the beginning. I find, because everybody, you know, we all love to feel good, you know, it's like that's an addiction in itself almost, or can be an addiction in itself. And one of the things that I've been really playing with a lot is when something comes up, no matter what it is, you know, most of my emotions are generated, 99% of them are Maya, generated from my mind, you know, and so it's like, can I get underneath it and kind of almost back engineer? And it's almost like there's a door, like if you can dive down, and it has keys, and it kind of is like,
yes.
here's the doorway.
That's where inquiry comes in. However, inquiry is effective with the process of supported transmission, familiarization with that beyond those emotions and so on. Because mentally you can inquire to a certain degree, and then this, you know, kind of assistance, familiarity is quite necessary from what I observed, helping, you know, so many people, that without it you can kind of get to that point, but then it's not so known, and you're kind of stuck in the midway between those two things.
Yes.
And people really get stuck at that doorway. 99.9% people get stuck sooner or later. Yeah, so they keep inquiring, but they just then keep knocking into the same door, and it's just not opening, you know. That's what usually happens. So with our own effort, we can reach to a certain point, but as I usually say, you know, the self is beyond our own effort. So therefore, it is through the grace of the self and those who help to, you know, kind of give that grace or assist for that grace, That's how we get to the self. Yeah,
that makes so much sense. Because I think they've been knocking for a bit.
yes,
It's like, Maha Avatar Babaji. Yeah, I mean, just the list goes on of like,
yes,
sometimes smacking me on the head with a 2x4 because I can be stubborn.
yes.
Um,
Mhm.
but recently it's been the Buddhist tradition, and knowing that they're just the pathways to something that's beyond any of the lineages, and been really kind of seeing now just the absolute the grace of like the guru and the devotee as the most sacred relationship possible, almost in human form. It's kind of theoretically spoken, but and seeing how there's the individual who's transmitting, and then there's the transmitter to them, and it just keeps going kind of up and up and up.
Yes. It's essentially from the self source that the transmission goes down and down until it reaches the present here and now.
Yeah.